Pelican Subcommittee to order. We will start with the pledge of allegiance to the flag and the flags. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next up, roll call. Mark Eversman here.
Not here.
Enzo Jetto here.
Bruce Fled here.
Sharon Briscoe here.
Cindy Watterson is absent, so we do have a quorum. Next up, public comment. I don't think we have any today. As long as we're on that subject, I just wanted to make a comment that we will discuss painting later, so I'm not getting into that now, but there were some comments made in the community regarding the new paint colors. And several people commented that it was the GSCDD that was forcing this on us more or less. And we have tried to make it known that it is not the GSCDD. It is residents that are doing this. It was done at a public meeting with PPCA approval, et cetera, et cetera. That seemed to calm a lot of the comments down, that it wasn't just done without anybody's knowledge. So going future, not just on this, but on other topics, I think more that we can make the people here aware that this is being done by residents, people that live here. And then if they have comments or concerns, they need to come to the meeting and say something as opposed to trying to stab you in the back on Facebook. So.
Mark, sorry.
I understand that, but if we can just make them known that they do have that opportunity.
Sorry, Nancy Smith, is it possible, because I don't see it, as you see when there are board meetings, there's a notification that goes out by email to all residents. I don't think people know about this meeting. I tell them, but I can only tell so many people, just like all of you. So unless they go out to the GSCDD site, they don't really know what's going on.
We could, I'm sure the PPCA agreed to let us use their newsletter at times. We could put it in there that these are when our meetings are going to be held, that if you have any questions, comments, it's a public meeting and you're more than welcome to come.
Sorry, Casey Anderson. I used to always announce it at a village meetings, you know, about EPAC, everybody. It was open to all the residents, but people just don't seem.
Marty, man, about PPAC. When are we getting our flyers printed up?
They're being hot off the press probably in the next week or so.
That'll help if we put our flyer out at the Brokey Center or something. Okay.
So I'm all about, I'm sorry,
Go ahead.
I'm all about communication. Could there have been a possibility that we could get paid Dutchies to say something in the newsletter, just because a lot of people here are retired? They are not actively involved in committee meetings. So I think the best way to do that is to get communication out to KW or the president's meetings, so they are aware that's going on. I know my HOA was not aware of it. Nobody was aware of it. So it's all about the communication. That's, I think, the piece that we needed to resolve all this. Even though it was residents driven, it's just half of the residents probably didn't know.
Yes, Bob Gepper, yesterday in the board workshop, community board workshop, Ed McCullough brought up the fact that we recommended, I think it was approved. I think it was approved where they said they're going to give us a box, give Gateway a box in the newsletter for communication. And that would be an ideal spot because everybody reads the newsletter and just says safety meetings on this day, this time, this place, landscape this day, this time, this place, and ponds. You can't tell people too much.
No, you can't, but they should be aware of what this Sharon Briscoe again, they should be aware. And I didn't know Gateway even exists. Basically,
We're trying to.
you know, it's all about education and communication. So I went on Gateway. I think it's really well done. In there, you can also add your email address to get all the agendas sent to your email. I think that's something we also should communicate to the residents.
Absolutely.
Because I get all the emails, all the agendas, and I go in and I look at them. And then that would be another way for folks.
So if I could just chime in, it wasn't for, this is Chelsea O'Reilly, district manager. It wasn't for a lack of trying from district staff. We did ask KW multiple times, PPCA multiple times. We were told no up until the last PPAC meeting where this came to light and Ed McCullough was a candidate for PPAC. He took it upon himself to go, to Bob's point, back to PPCA to try to promote this. And it seems like it's been favorable.
It was actually in the works that each of the subcommittees would have a section in the newsletter that we kind of rotate. So 4 times a year, each of the subcommittees would have a box, within the newsletter. But that all kind of fell apart with service agreement going away and everything else. So, I mean, that was in the works for each of the subcommittees to have a forum within the newsletter. But yesterday, I thought I heard that they did approve a box. No actions taken at the workshop. Okay, well, that's true. Yeah.
But ultimately, the intent is to try to
We're
get it
getting
in the newsletter of the community association.
Just one more suggestion. If we do get somewhere to advertise those, I think it's really important, especially for this group, that we explain the types of things we do, because it's just not landscaping, right? So even if we had advertised it, people would see subcommittee for landscaping, they'd have no idea that we were also looking at painting of the monuments.
Yeah, that's correct.
Casey Anderson, and I think to everybody's thing on what you spoke on about rumors and that this goes back, the painting was actually brought up way back when I was still here with Terry Aiello, and it was talked about at the master meetings. It was presented at the president's council. So I know things have changed here, but it was discussed when all the roofing and everything was going on. And those 2 entities were still here, that it was going to proceed ahead. And then I think with all the changes, something.
The cost structure.
Oh, okay.
This is Mark. We actually did Safety and Security actually did put something in one newsletter 2 or 3 months ago. And the intent was the different groups would be asked to provide something, but I don't know that anybody ever did anything after Safety and Security did theirs.
I think with Jen leaving, I think that it just all kind of.
Yeah. If you work with Yanni, I think it'll.
Okay, sorry I digressed on that, but I just wanted to make that comment to hopefully get the general residents more informed as to how this works. No more public comments. Next up is approval of our February.
1 second, excuse me. I don't know if it comes in the public, but I was at a golf outing and was approached by someone regarding, and I don't know if this Bruce comes into this part of the agenda, but I was at a golf outing. He's you're on the landscape committee. He goes, yeah. He goes, why is, this is something I've addressed in the past. Ameriscape is destroying our streets. Is this something we should talk about now or later in the meeting?
I'd say later.
Okay, fine.
Okay, next up is approval of, says February 22nd issues that I believe we approved those at the March meeting. I do not see the March minutes though.
Okay, we'll follow back up.
Okay. Again, February, I'm pretty sure I approved at the March meeting, or we approved. Next up, could you call up the financials from Laura, please? Financials haven't changed a whole lot from what we had last month, except for we corrected the one line item that was $200,000 off. We still have, as you can see, a decent amount of money, but I just approved quite a few invoices yesterday, which will take probably 15,000 out of that. I have also asked Javier to work with his people at Ameriscape, because last year at the end of the season, they basically slugged us with a bunch of old invoices that they had not somewhere have gotten lost. And so I said, I don't want that to occur again. He would work with his office people to ensure that all invoices that were outstanding would be sent to us. And I also asked him what other major items were going to be left for the rest of this year, of which trimming in the palms is a major cost for us. And he will provide us what the cost was last year, just to give us some guidance. So we'll have a much better idea exactly where we are on our budget once we get that information. But
Is that different than the annual tree cutting?
annual, there's hardwoods and then there's palms.
So hardwood is 154,000.
And hardwood, we have done some of that already. They did a pretty good trim. I've never been invoiced for that, so that's another one that it's kind of like, where are you? Some of that should be free because anything 2 inches and under is already taken care of in the contract. So again, I have
But the
not
palms are included in the regular.
tree trimming.
The tree.
Well, in the trimming line item, I believe it's
I thought that
annual
was hard.
tree. No, I think it's everything. Because there is no other place for it.
And I thought it was every other year.
Sherry Briscoe here. Are they gonna include cutting out the boots this year? Because the boots are really bad on these palm trees.
Generally, boots is a separate line item. If you want that done, you have to pay extra for the boots.
We pay $10 a tree in the RHOA to get the boots removed. So what happens is the boots over time start falling,
Right.
and then every day it looks a mess.
Yeah.
So especially at the front gate, so that's a question I have.
This is Nancy Smith. I would caution everyone about talking about what we pay in individual neighborhoods.
This is Sherry Briscoe. The only reason I'm bringing it up is because it's not a very big cost, and overall, it makes the community look much better every day. So
You don't want one of those boots fall, if they're big, to fall on your car or your.
So the large palms are self-shucking. So we don't get boots off of those. It's only primarily disabled palms that we would have to be concerned about the boots. But we can look at that, Sherry.
yeah, I just don't think it's a huge cost. We didn't know about the cost until we really asked. So that's why I'm just saying it's not a huge cost per tree.
Does anybody have any other questions about financials again?
Well, this is
Yeah.
Bruce. I see on the landscape maintenance, there's a large item there. I don't think they're adhering to their maintenance agreement. I mean, they say they were cleaning up weekly. That's impossible based
Well-
on what I've observed. It's at Javier's discretion more than living to the contract. So this budget, I don't know how much that is added cost or what he's required to do, because he's certainly not doing. And I mean, I've purposely focused on the main gate because that's the first appearance to the development. And there's been more, I actually spray painted some of the garbage, and that same garbage sat there for more than a week. So right there, he's in violation of the contract. So I think we really need to monitor that cost line. So I don't think he's doing his job. I really don't.
We're
This is Sherry Briscoe. There's a hubcap sitting right in the garden, right behind the gate, and it sat there for 3 weeks. And they've been out there trimming. They can take it, pick it up, and take it to the town center. All behind the bushes by the front sidewalks. All they do is they place the palm fronds behind the bushes. There's garbage back there. It's the front gate really needs attention.
The palm fronds was me because they were getting ready to paint. And we had volunteer palms that had grown up into the pergola. So I actually went out and cut off the palm fronds. So those
Those
were
aren't fresh. No, these are dead. These
No,
have been
no.
dead for a while.
no, trust me, I was just there yesterday.
Okay.
Those were the ones I did.
Okay,
But this
and I haven't seen those yet.
this Bruce Flanagan. But here again, in his contract, he calls for irrigation repair within 48 hours. I put in a ticket on March 29th. It didn't get resolved until April 18th. And I can't say it was due to supplies. It was a sprinkler head. I put in another one around April 8th. It just got satisfied yesterday for a trickle line on a palm. he's not adhering to his 48-hour contractual agreement. So I think we need to make sure those charges are true charges. And if they are actually the cost of the contract, he better start living up to it. Because in all honesty, other items that we could discuss later, he's creating expenses for himself that he could try to bill back to us. And I think that's ludicrous.
Those with Nancy. Couple things. It's unfortunate, but our landscaper needs to be managed. Question is, what's the best way to do that? And then second thing is, if I recall correctly, they were the only ones that, maybe it wasn't the JSCVD, maybe it was the DCA, I can't remember. But they were the only ones that even responded. Right, okay. So I guess the real question is, maybe we can have a conversation about this next month and put it on the agenda, is what is the best way to manage our supplier, our landscape supply?
So this item, do you guys have it on your agenda for the actual scope of the contract? Because the Ameriscape contract is going to be up, we're going to have to bid it out. And so that takes time. And so ultimately we need on your agenda for you all to start to review the scope. We have boilerplate template contracts that we push out, RFPs, things like that. All we need from this group is the actual meat of that contract, the scope of exactly what you want. If you want to keep it status quo, we can run with that. If you want to tweak it, but ultimately we'll need this group's approval of that scope so we can push it out. I know safety and security, we'll work backwards from the date that the contract expires. So just like with safety and security, we'll get our contracts manager to back into that date to find the drop dead date that we need the scope from you all. But it takes 30 days at a minimum. It has to be out on the street advertised. If this group wants to approve it and then we want to pass it up to PPAC for their review, that's totally this group's purview. But from a staff perspective, we need about a week to compile everything, get the news press advertisement out, and then go from there.
This is Bob. I think a good start would be for our safety. If it's not in the contract, that would be something we put in the next time.
Absolutely.
So with
They need
Mainscape,
to be here to hear what's going on.
with Mainscape, we do, we just totally revamped ours on the Greater Gateway side, and we require them to have quarterly, where they bring in everybody, quarterly meetings with staff. I mean, I would strongly encourage this committee to do the same thing.
Just curious. Like need of that contract.
Absolutely.
So we can sort of balance off what our needs might be.
We can share both your existing contract. We'll have that on your next agenda, your existing contract, and then the Greater Gateway contract. I know Bob's been working diligently with Mark and getting the maps updated. So hopefully we'll have better visuals for bidders moving forward.
Chelsea, this is Nancy Smith. What has been the precedent for KPIs and penalties within a contract?
We didn't write the existing, I had no insight.
Non-existent.
Are we all-
We wrote those in the new in the gateway contract,
Mhm.
that if they don't perform by 2 weeks or whatever notice that they're given, we have the authority to go contract it on our own and bill them back.
Mhm.
So we had that in our prior contract. We vamped it up in our current contract.
It's never been done.
It's never been
Fighting's been
executed.
there.
But you have to have somebody who is on top of it, who is monitoring the CSR report and who can hold the vendor accountable. So there really has to be a point person for us. On our side, it's Scott. And then if he starts to have issues, it goes up the chain.
But until Mark started this group.
Yeah.
Castle never.
But that might be interesting to discuss next meeting.
But again, we have them here. Mark has found that, the more you're interfacing with them, the more responsive they are.
Sherry Briscoe here. I've heard some, and I don't know if it's true, that Ameriscape is the only one who ever puts in. Are there other vendors that put in for like this contract?
So
here?
for on our side, I don't know, because the district has not bid it out. I mean, we have bid it out, but in the past, I don't know if it was as formal as we do it now.
Okay.
On the gateway side, we had 5 vendors show up to our non-mandatory pre-bid. We only received 1 bid.
But But in the past, we did have open.
We got 3 last time.
Well, we started years ago. We did get open.
We need to work toward that again, because I don't want Ameriscape being the only one who puts in a bid and no one else is aware of it or wants to put it in for a certain reason. I just want to make sure we get enough vendors in there so we can.
But Ameriscape
Look at
has
the contract.
historically managed our irrigation, which gives them a tremendous leg up over the other vendors.
Yes, we had issues with them in our HOA and they
understand
threatened
that.
us. And
You gotta remember, the other people are bidding against that and some of them.
And I think you nailed it. I think you nailed it. I'm right there.
This is, this is Bruce. I'm running into an issue just like that. The old famous, Matarita 2 monument is not getting watered. Contacted Javier. Suddenly, over a year of debate with him, it's not our control box. Suddenly, in the past, he agreed it was his box. Now it's not his. It's under Greenscape's control. So now I have to go to Greenscape to verify what I had already verified a year ago, and there was that battle, and go and bringing that into the contract. And I've said this in an open meeting already. There's a former racketeer, I think, involved here, in that you could tell Greenscape and Ameriscape won't step on each other's toes. It is so clear when I had your 2 managers in front of me, and they turned their backs on each other and talked to me directly and wouldn't talk with each other to resolve the issue. So something's going on there.
As a community, it's probably, we have a. Now, it's a whole spaghetti. Very attempting in the calendar year 2024 to get a result. We're a long way from a resolution. But that's a major issue for our community.
This is Bruce again. So do I have everybody's approval? I don't know if I need it. I want to contact Greenscape today if possible, just to resolve this one sprinkler, because this one guy, Jack, is a thorn in my side and I got to satisfy him. And I put a cup in his to prove a point. And he was right. There's no water going into that monument. And then I first got an answer from Javier. Oh, that's not under our control, but it is under his control. But he says it's under Greenscape's.
Go to anybody.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to go to Greenscape.
Shoot me an email if you want to. Send me an email.
Okay.
Because I'm trying to spearhead
And
irrigation.
I did put a ticket in for mine the other day.
Going back to what Nancy said, you can hear it needs to be managed. And that's a problem, not just with this, but within the community. And where's the management to management? I mean, it is. It's a huge thing and it takes a lot of work and due diligence because over the years I've been here, which is over 10, you can change landscaping companies, you can do all that. Today I'm madder than hell at a hobby because I have alfalfa in the yard. But that all said, we've moved to different landscape companies. And irrigation doesn't get fixed. You find out they're not certified in, the whole Toro system changed over the years, the Toro was put in. But it goes back, I believe, to that because it doesn't matter who it is, at least in all I've seen or experienced in my time here. They all start out good. And it doesn't matter how tight that contract is. Somebody has to be out there.
So this is
No.
Nancy. Can we hold, since we're going to have a long conversation about this next meeting on the subject? Or do we want to continue today?
We do have, this is Mark, we do have several things I'm hoping to get to today. So if we could hold the discussion on contracts for the next meeting, I think that would be good.
Get
So-
it as an
So
agenda
we'll
item for you.
put the invite out to Javier to be here so we can
Staff
discuss it in front of him.
We can, if you want.
But I
Unless you
go
want to.
back to it's
Either way.
more than.
I can-
All right.
Definitely
Something better.
going down.
Yeah, I'm
Close
just
to
one person.
Mark will reach out and invite him.
We'll have Javier at the next meeting.
Good.
Um,
Keep your claws in.
Anyway, so if we could just hold the contract and whether or not they're fulfilling what needs to be done, et cetera, until the next meeting. So we can continue and get through today's.
On the cap budget spot, I got one comment. The last 3 lines were allocated monies I believe, from the reserves. That's why it's listed as cap. As opposed to the yearly O&M budget.
Correct.
Which is what is really within your purview to keep running. So the 135,000, I think, was approved, so we might or might not do something with the front end. Is that your recollection?
Actually, there was a different line item for 250,000.
That's what I thought it was, 250. I thought somebody.
And well, Laura sent these to me, right, and said, "What's your opinion?" And I said, "On the monuments, I'm not sure what we are going to be doing to the monuments besides painting them, cleaning them up and painting them.
And irrigating.
Irrigating, that's a whole nother issue because of problems that we have the way it was set up. But I didn't know what we were going to capitalize on that. Do you capitalize painting? I mean, I wouldn't think so. I would think that would be a
When the monuments hit the landscape, but, and there was a prior category, the intent at that time, part of that
Okay.
document, was it would have been included in one of the upper, like monument and sign.
Yeah,
items.
right.
It was never intended to be a capital item.
Right.
But I understand why it was there. But what I'm trying to focus the group on, if I can, is next year's budget. Don't put in the capital items in the O&M. Keep it there, keep it separate.
Right.
You have your O&M, and that's a target that you
Right.
gotta manage.
Right.
The capital is a separate thing.
Right. And that's what I was trying to get with Laura yesterday or the day before is I don't believe we needed a capital item for monuments. Monument lighting, yes, because we need to revamp the monument lighting. So I understood that
So
one.
we either absorb that cost someplace else, because
Right.
monument lighting is an ongoing. expense.
Right. So,
So generally, the intent with capital is it's an asset. All of the monuments are an asset. They're gonna have to be replaced at some point. So like what we've done on the Gateway side is, we're not gonna save a little bit each year. It's just the year that it's scheduled for replacement that we put in that amount. So,
Well, I was suggesting that it's already in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Try to absorb it, because we got 39 monuments.
Yep.
There's a lot of money.
and so capital wise, from a staff perspective, any singular item that's $2,500 or more is what we put on capital that you can depreciate.
which I sent Laura an email yesterday saying, should we be capitalizing these benches that we're going to put in? Is they're going to be like $5,000 a piece approximately. So that was just a comment I made. I'm just asking questions. I get asked if these numbers are right, and it's like, I don't know, I didn't develop them, I don't know what's in them, what the
Well,
expectation.
in a non-ad valorem tax, we don't have for landscape $1.17 billion for landscape. It's some number under that because of the capital money we put in. So for next year, it still should be under the 1.17. But we funded that, we raised all of it.
In my opinion, the only potential item that I saw there was the lighting, because that could be a big spaghetti. Who knows how far we have to go to upgrade our electric system, make it appropriate.
And how much are we spending? We have a budget question. We have a budget item for hotels. I know you have dollar item, but what's the annual budget item? So you allocate X number of dollars, the first 10 people that apply,
Right.
and next year, the next one.
Yeah.
I didn't see a budget item for that.
Actually, it's under monuments and signs. Is where we,
15,000, that's the budget.
yes,
Casey Anderson, does that include the painting when it's put in there? Is that,
the painting was just kind of a wild card that came up as far as it. And we are going to do that with internal resources.
Okay.
So the only thing we have to pay for is the paint.
Right.
And
I
it
just
should
didn't
not
know
be
that.
a huge amount of money that we will find money in there for it. My opinion.
Okay, thank you, that's all I have.
So
Is that everybody's?
Okay.
Next up are the requests for monument or cul-de-sac improvements. We have gotten from 2 HOAs, the equivalent of, this is Prado, which we already approved Prado last time. The ones that came in, which I thought we were going to get copies of, but I don't see them in here, are two from Casella.
Before, one for Fina.
Yeah, no, four total. I'm saying we got two from Casella because they have two separate cul-de-sacs, which I met with the representative from Casella, and yes, they do need attention. I do not believe they will be utilizing $2,500 on each of them. My opinion is they can do the whole thing for around $2,000, but they went through the procedure, made the request. We do have the money available. And so I would like to make a motion that we approve Casella's two requests to refresh their monuments within their HOA.
With Prado being already approved.
Prado is already
How close
approved.
does that get you to 15,000?
We approved more money last meeting, an additional 10,000. We're
So now
good.
25.
We're good. We're good.
So, and how much would that be? $5,000?
Up to 5,000, which they won't utilize that much.
And that's using a legitimate landscape.
Oh, yeah, it's all written out for them. You have to use a licensed landscaper approved by the GS or registered with the GSCDD.
Once you get that number, then you'll still know what you
We're,
have
we're,
available.
we're fine.
25,000.
We're fine.
So you're only doing because they had four.
Yep. I'm
Letters.
just trying to get two approved
Yep.
at this point for
Okay.
Casella.
All right.
On these landscape monuments, for example, I'm gonna use a bill. And you'll probably get something.
We have, they're coming
Well,
up.
you can blame it on me why it wasn't turned in before. but
It's here.
Trees. But anyway, when things are healthy there, like, let's say there's, I can't think of the name of the little red tree. But
Trophy.
yeah, if that's healthy and they put in for us to pay it, to take it out, why would you take it out?
We
Can I ask?
We have said that the monuments and cul-de-sacs are the design, the appearance is the individual HOA's purview.
Sure.
And for instance, Azura just got done at the end of Azura. And they did a scorched earth. I mean, they took everything out on the end, which some of it, there's no question it needed to be gone. They also took out a tree, which was healthy, but it just didn't fit what they wanted that to look like. And so they ended up paying like $6,000 for it. We paid our
Here's
$2,500.
the reason I ask, because a landscaper will sell you anything. You know,
Absolutely.
they'll sell you plants that are poisonous, which we had some in here by the first developer that are poisonous to animals. They'll sell you a tree that shouldn't fit there properly or won't last or isn't good for the environment. I mean, they just do that. So I'm looking at the cost effect is why I'm asking and why that is, Mark. I mean,
Once again, we leave it up to the HOA. You tell us what you want. They have to send the design to us and we look at the design. And if they're going to put in plants that are invasive or just not going to survive there, things like that, we will tell them,
Okay.
no, I'm not going to approve that. You need to select something else.
But the point is, oh, long that HOA was still, that's fine.
oh, as long as they,
We
yeah,
stopped at the 2,500.
Yes.
I think that's
Azura-
the hard question.
Azura spent $8,500 and we said, we'll pay our $2,500 and the rest is
Okay.
on you. And they said, fine.
Okay.
So you made a motion to approve.
I made a motion to approve Casella's two
Two.
requests for the person. Well, you second the motion. All in favor, say aye. We also have received two requests from Avila. And again, I met with Avila's new HOA president, and I would agree that they are overgrown and things are dead, et cetera, et cetera. We have approved up to $2,500. Realistically, they need more than $2,500 to really revamp those monuments, but they understand that $2,500 is our limit. And they have made the request.
Their old president would never approve.
So I make a motion that we approve Avila's two requests to redo their cul-de-sacs. Two, no, they only put in two.
Nancy, I'll second the motion.
All in favor, say aye. We also received a request from Portofino to redo their monument. And they're not going to use 2,500, I know, but that is the cap at this point. I'm assuming they will probably keep it closer to 1,000 based on the people I know doing the work and how frugal they are. So I would make a motion to approve Portofino's request to redo their existing monument. All in favor, say aye. Casey,
Casey apologies.
and I,
It'll be confused, yeah.
to my knowledge, those are all the requests that we received. Do you have any others on there that you're aware of?
There were just multiple attachments for a villa.
Yeah.
I think there were 4 attachments for a villa. And there were 2 more for the pool Casella circle.
Well,
So you only want to do the 2 cul-de-sacs and Casella.
what they're calling the pool circle is actually one of the roundabout areas.
Okay.
We're
A villa,
good.
it looks like they had 3 documents that they submitted. Look at them real
One
quick.
of them, they weren't going to do anything with, but
That says
One
that
is mine.
there are 3
One
cul-de-sacs,
cul-de-sac
Oh,
was pretty good, actually.
3 cul-de-sacs, update all 3.
Well, so you have 3 per villa.
1, 2, 3.
All right.
Estimated cost 500, I see.
That one's 500, this one's 2,500, and this one's 2,500.
can I ask, is that for the cul-de-sacs?
It is for the person I met with, they wanted the cul-de-sacs. It wasn't the monuments that she is focusing on right now. So I need to make another motion that we approve Avila's third request for $500 to refurbish their third cul-de-sac.
Nancy, I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye.
I
All right.
Before you leave that, could I make a suggestion? One of the team members become the cul-de-sac champion and have a spreadsheet that lists all 39 cul-de-sacs and the date, time, and amount you spend, when you spend, whenever. So you can always look at it and see the same neighborhood's not dipping twice.
This, Nancy, I actually created a spreadsheet, and if you work off of that one, you can just add in.
Whatever.
Did you guys get that spreadsheet that I did when I went around and counted all the monuments and the roundabouts?
I know I had one from Jen from KW of the monuments. I'm not sure about the actual. If you want to send that back, we can.
And you can look what happened and see what it is.
And there are far more than 39 when you consider each one, each monument and each cul-de-sac. I think you
They're
will,
different, 39 monuments,
correct.
different list of cul-de-sacs.
And then, yeah,
Can we just number them?
They are.
numbered.
That's right.
They are numbered on the.
Correspond to the shared.
So to Bob's point, did somebody want to volunteer to
Somebody want to volunteer to be the cul-de-sac monument
tracker?
tracker key person?
I will volunteer if Nancy will work with me.
I'll give you
and
the list.
leave the list of,
If we can't work together.
well, I mean, identify, I need a
I'll give you the-
spreadsheet or
okay.
a list.
I
So
will give you that.
we need a
Somebody else
motion.
has
Do
to
we
say
need a
what you-
motion?
Okay.
Okay.
Oh,
This one's already done. You don't have to do it.
Okay.
twice.
and is this for monuments and,
Monuments and cul-de-sacs, we keep track of. Each one is considered available to request.
If you send that,
okay, and what do you want?
Nancy.
Who is best? Basically, it's going to be a list of all of them.
you can send it to me.
And a date that they had theirs done.
And
And how much you spent?
Oh, okay.
And we require that they wait 3 years before making another request.
There's 39 monuments and 29 cul-de-sacs.
This is Sherry Briscoe. Can I have a copy of that map?
It's online.
Electronically available.
Can I have it printed?
It's $185.
Printed.
Yes, that size map.
How many do you want?
Get one for everyone.
It's all online through Passarella's outfacing system, and you can click the different layers and you can see on.
And I have seen it. Look at it rather than getting offline and trying to enlarge it.
Yeah.
Which it is a very nice map, the GSI or GIS.
Question,
It's just easier to print it out.
question, this is Bruce. We brought up KW and their cooperation with different aspects, but have we resolved KW's animosity with Gateway?
Not animosity.
Oh. Okay,
Once that's resolved, and all the other actions can be incorporated, that's very time, the board of Gateway is going to resolve the financial problems. And we'll take other action. We're not taking any other action until that's fine. And it's not resolved.
so question is, if I was to approach KW about something that is common area, they'll respond other than telling me to call Gateway myself?
Don't know.
Because that's
Yeah,
happened.
relationship with-
Well, I'm sorry, one more time, what's your question? What do you mean
So-
by common area?
Okay, I had a concern about Cypress, about a month ago, and I called, it was after the last meeting, and I called and I got a real snippy question. Well, then you better call Gateway and,
What was your question?
can I go to KW now, or do I have to
No,
still
no,
go
no,
to,
what was your question on Cypress?
oh, about the lights? And it was a circuit breaker kept popping. So I said, do you guys realize the lights are out still?
Totally Gateway.
You would send in a ticket to Gateway.
Okay, but now my question is, KW being the property manager as a representative of me, a homeowner, shouldn't they be addressing it rather than getting 10 different
What you
tickets?
should do is direct.
Okay, then they did it
That's
right.
what we're paying
Okay,
you to do.
okay,
We're not.
Not paying them.
okay,
to
okay.
do.
No, as long as it's clarified, I have no problem.
And it's all part, Bruce, it's all part of the education. It's all part of the education. process.
Okay,
Let everybody.
okay.
And another case in point, resident came in and they wanted a tree taken down. They didn't think it was theirs. Somebody thought it might be Gateways, and Chelsea and others determined it was actually PPCA's. But I got an email from Yannabelle saying, could you look at this? I mean, it wasn't nasty. It was just, hey, this is what we're running into. And that's fine.
Even from a staff perspective, we're still trying to, I love Bob's bowl of spaghetti. We're still trying to untangle the bowl of spaghetti.
Gotcha. No, as long as it's
A lot
clarified,
better
I have no
for you.
problem.
So Marty. So, I contacted the, PPCA regard to painting the bridge behind the Brokey Center. It's becoming unsightly. The response that I got back from the board was, we disagree on who owns the bridge.
That's correct.
So there's no commitment there for anybody.
No. That is currently the statement you just said. But we have determined at Gateway, the bridge is not ours. Our attorneys told us. They have not reached that point yet of accepting the ownership, but they will. They are investigating it. Sooner or later, one entity or the other will say it's ours. But what they said is correct. That is
But
what
my point being is, nobody's gonna paint it.
so the ownership issue is all.
Vince, you want to do it with me? Vince, you and I will paint the bridge. You want to do it?
I'm in, baby.
Okay,
Speaking of paint,
speaking of painting, the next item for discussion
good segue.
is paint. And I would like to preface this by, if you drive by, it looks like most of the painting is done. My wife and I went out there last night, and took a close look, and as Daniel Potter has stated, there are some areas that we have to work on yet.
Many areas.
And Daniel has agreed to hold Elias Brothers accountable to fulfill their contract for the appropriate amount. And we are withholding funds at this point until we are satisfied that they have done what they are supposed to do. All that being said, so it is being addressed. Yes, there are deficiencies in what they did. Those will be addressed. The things that we need to discuss today to get approval on or make decisions on are, one, which is a no-brainer in my opinion, they have given us a cost to repair monuments where there are cracks, separation, et cetera, where they don't want to just paint a problem. A cost of, I don't remember the exact amount, for like $4,600 to repair different things on the different monuments that they are painting, or not monuments, but entranceways, things like that. So I do not believe that is unreasonable. They had told us up front in the contract that any repairs would be an additional expense. They came out a little higher than what I thought they would, but they had sent pictures of what they had run into. And after 20 years, I do believe that things obviously have happened out there that do need to be addressed.
And speaking with Daniel, he concurs. It's a reasonable price considering, and that the repairs are definitely needed.
So just regarding repairs at this point, I would like to make a motion that we agree to allow Elias Brothers to proceed with the repairs so they can complete the painting of the monuments,
Not to exceed.
not to exceed $5,000.
What the quote that they provided.
The quote was, I quoted 6.
Nancy, I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So, pardon?
Daniel's got that one.
Daniel is agreed to follow up on this.
Well, Daniel did a great job of getting that incentive on repair. That's structural.
Yeah.
He did a very good job on that and then got it painted.
Before we go to that, I want to continue with the painting out front. One thing that they did not quote in their painting were the Pelican emblems. There. So medallions, whatever you want to call them, those were not included because we didn't know nobody knew if we really wanted them painted. Do you like them that way or do you want them painted white?
White.
White.
Just looks cleaner for this person.
Well, before we go there, can you go back to one of the pictures of all right. So you see that center area?
Mhm.
That is terrazzo stone. And they said, normally you don't paint that. So you're going to have that color still on the monument, which is approximately the color that the emblems are.
That's just this big? Or is that-
No. I'm talking the big area. No, down there.
Oh,
Yeah,
And on the main monument where it says Pelican Preserve, there's a huge area of terrazzo stone, which again, normally you would not paint terrazzo. So knowing that those colors will still be there, which I don't think they look bad. I'm not trying to say it's an ugly thing or anything like that. But
But
No.
the medallions are a different
a-
material, just so you know.
yeah, no, I understand that. But all I'm trying to say is that color is still going to be somewhat on our entranceway monuments and things like that. To paint the medallions, it is an additional cost of approximately $1,150.
So have we reached out to the community and asked if they want to paint those pelicans?
Do you want
2,500.
Because after you painted the structure out there, people on social media said that it's not fitting with the community motif. My God, it's.
The decision should come from here and then we see a good job.
But also, people don't realize that there are, some people were ragging on the fact that it doesn't match our roof line colors. But if you ride around enough, you'll see there are different roof line colors throughout. And I know some subdivisions are now approaching for board approval, changing of the house colors to some of these cooler colors, I guess they call them. So you can't make everybody happy, but if you drive around, which I did specifically, went into Colonial, I went to Renaissance, I went to Heritage Palms, all developments of our age. And if you look at the colors, it's those cool gray colors, even though it didn't match, house for house. You got to step up. All new construction have these new colors. My opinion, and my opinion only, it just looks cleaner and more up to date. So to try to satisfy everybody.
Yeah.
I don't think you can leave those things just looking dirty. I don't know. You know, I'd have to see them in person, but, and whether I like the color or not, anything's better than the 20-year-old, but for a fresh look, but the inlays in there, you know, and shame on Elias, they know about those inlays because I dealt with them before. But those inlays, even if they're power washed, aren't going, they're gonna look dirty no matter what against the fresh paint. So if they're close to the color of that,
Just to give you an idea of the
Yeah.
contrast.
Well, they have painted where the arrows show do not paint.
mhm.
They did paint those.
So let me ask you this. So is that, I can't remember, is that inlay a lion or is that the same as this?
Can we?
Is it-
Sorry.
What?
It's Nancy. Can we
Yeah.
interrupt? Because this is the scheme that we all chose, right? Hang on, please. I'm hearing, at first it can't be painted. Other suppliers said it could be painted. Terrazzo floors can be stripped and painted. So the question is, can we really not paint? Because if you take a look at this, you'll see that the little pelicans are white and then the center is gray. And this just looks so beautiful.
And I brought the exact same picture.
Okay, sorry.
And it's, no. What I didn't understand after all this is, like Nancy said, this is what was provided to us. This is what your monument was supposed to look like. And now they're saying, well, you don't really paint that area. And it's like, why did you give us a picture
Right,
showing it painted,
yeah.
only to tell us, no, you don't?
Hold them to what they get.
Yes.
It does.
Well,
I don't think that it was included, the stone was included in the quote.
correct,
Fortunately, we didn't know it was gonna.
correct.
But the idea is
They
Where-
had them.
Where's this color and this color? Because when I look, I'm only seeing the one gray
It
or
doesn't show up there. The pillars are actually, that's,
the darker.
no,
Okay,
the bottom is the lighter color and
Right.
that's the darker.
and the darker on the colors, okay.
it's
Because I don't see it in the light out there when I'm looking.
showed a difference.
Oh, okay. This is a picture that Bruce had. This is the lighter color.
That looks like.
And
That one.
these are the worst ones that Bruce took a picture of because they might get hit by their sprinklers or something. The rest of them don't look as bad, but they don't match. I mean,
Nancy's
I'm not saying
picture
they
there does show that, whether they
Okay.
tried to say it's color shaded or not, it does show
That's
what
beautiful.
she's saying. But even so, those on his column, that picture you just showed me, Mark,
Good question.
and it looks like that,
all right.
left that way.
My opinion is this group needs to make a decision. I mean, that's what we're charged with. And I wouldn't mind asking residents, but that's gonna take months and nobody will ever agree on anything.
Right.
We know that. So in my opinion, it is our responsibility to make this decision. We can talk to PPCA and make sure that they are accepting of that and don't have any major heartburn over it. I know we probably don't have to, but
Sure.
we're trying to be nice about everything.
I didn't
So,
say anything.
okay, I'm just,
But he did look.
I'm just putting it out there. So,
As long as as long as that conversation does not delay the action item from the contractor.
Casey again. Who's over the Elias paint?
Who's overseeing the
Uh-huh.
vendor? Daniel is working with Mark.
Who's he dealing with Elias?
I'm not sure.
there's a person by the name of Cassie that is. the
Oh,
main-
Scheduling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have remembered.
Oh, no, we have. Trust me, we have.
So there's an
So-
action item you're asking?
So let us take one thing at a time here. Do we have an opinion, a motion, anything as far as painting the Pelican medallions for a cost not to exceed $1,500?
What are the choices? White.
White or the way they are?
Definitely not the way, Nancy, not the way they are. The only concern that I have is if we make those white, it's just gonna show the stone looks horrible more. Center.
So that's a
I know.
separate issue.
I know.
That's a separate issue that we can attempt to address.
That comes into
Why
play. The
doesn't Cassie
monuments.
get the Sherwin-Williams rep out here to,
It's actually Florida paint.
okay, give some
And
input though?
I will make a motion that we paint the Pelicans white, not to exceed $1,500.
Just look at the contrast. It's a slight piece of the white Just imagine what that would brighten up that. I mean, and this is the old look, so it's your contrast.
And they have painted the trim pieces and
Yeah,
caps
now,
white.
yeah, yeah.
So we have a motion by Nancy to paint the medallions white. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
All in
First.
favor of painting the medallions white for a cost not to exceed $1,500, say aye.
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 Motion passes. We need to speak to PPCA, which sent no representatives.
Jim
to-
Bolton.
Right, and I think he's out of town.
Go back.
Oh, okay. I will contact Jim and tell him that we need an answer by the weekend. Does that sound fair? Okay, so that only gives him a good,
Monday.
okay, by Monday. So I will contact Jim Bollinger. Now, the next item to discuss then regarding painting is whether or not we wish to get a quote to paint the center areas. And if so, what color would we like? I'm not saying they can be done.
Talking. This
I
area?
understand, yes. So it would look like the picture that we received.
Yep, so this is Nancy. My concern is Elias Brothers has already told us they're hesitant in painting the terrazzo stone. So do we want to just go out and get bids from a few people again?
Okay. I have a question this is Mark. I have a question for Chelsea. If the paint works, is there any reason why we can't have our people paint the centers?
No.
Okay, so I would defer that question at this point where we can find out if we are comfortable, the manufacturer is comfortable painting the terrazzo stone with their paint. And if so, we will address it at a future meeting if we wish to do it, in what color we
We'll
wish
just
to
get
do it.
our waiters out that day, and as long as there's no water, and we can do it. We'll make it happen.
That's great.
Okay, so we will not contact Elias Brothers.
So defer the terrazzo,
Correct.
okay, to a later date.
Is everyone okay with that?
So you probably prime it first.
Oh, absolutely,
Perfect.
absolutely. But again, we have
Yep.
internal maintenance people through Gateway that are going to be painting, which is a next topic up, I think, the HOA monuments and things like that. So this could be added to their list of responsibilities to accomplish.
Yep.
Is everybody acceptable to that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions on paint? Now we can go to, this is actually part of that. So we painted, meaning Gateway representatives, painted Vincenza because, as Bob stated, we did maintenance on that monument where it had been hit by somebody and it did not look good. So this is our test. They went ahead and painted it to the best of their abilities with the colors that were available. Can you?
Oh, sorry.
And hopefully everybody's had a chance to view what was done. Now, we are not committed to this. This was just a sample for everyone to take a look at. If we say that was done incorrectly or we just don't like it, we have the ability to change it, but it gives us a starting point of something to look at versus, yeah. So in continuing, the only thing that I really heard negative, all right, we're bound to the colors that we're using coming in. So don't start throwing new colors on this. So using those existing colors, the only real negative that I've heard is the letters on that, I think, are painted black. Where if they were the bronze, which is actually the color that it's a deep dark brown, it would soften it just a little bit. So the only real negative that I've heard is the colors are a little black as opposed to more of the dark bronze to soften it a little bit.
Can I just make one comment? If that is the feedback you've received, what I would strongly recommend is, I believe this monument is double-sided.
Yes.
Maybe have staff paint the bronze color on one side and then have conversation at your next meeting.
Well, again, my concern is we're supposed to be locked in to the colors. And I don't think black is a color that was chosen out front.
Okay.
So we've introduced a new color, which is what we said we would not do.
Okay.
Is that accurate? Nancy, you were involved with the.
Yep.
All right.
So this is Nancy. This is not a negative comment, just a constructive comment. If we are kind of following what we did up front, then the white, where it's painted white should be gray, and where it's painted gray should be white.
Okay. And this is Mark again. So this is my attempt to delegate is we have, as Bob stated, 39 monuments in Pelican. All need to be painted. Not today, not this year, but we need to start working our way through. And I've given Daniel a preliminary list of monuments that I would like done before others. So what I would really appreciate is if someone on this subcommittee would volunteer to go monument by monument and designate whether or not you work with the HOA president or however you wish to do it, what colors they want where on their monument.
Casey Anderson. Here's the thing. So for aesthetic, can I talk aesthetic? So are we going the same placement of the color schemes? Because we have different shape monuments.
Correct. Many different shapes.
Okay, so to overview as you're driving through, Pelican, do they have to be matching? Do you want them, meaning us, do you want them flipped? Some people are going to complain, residents, that
Somebody
the
will
water,
complain.
well, sure, that the water, if the light's on the bottom, that the irrigation will discolor it. Some will prefer, that's why
Yeah, and we
we're
are
here.
trying to address the staining of the.
But do you want, depending on the shape of the monument, or maybe this has been discussed long before I was here, so just tell me if it works.
So far, no.
Do you want different flipped colors? Do you want,
As far as I know, we have the ability to do what we want as long as we stay with the same colors.
because Florida paint,
Yes.
they should be able to do a drawing of our colors with different monuments.
Well,
To
Florida
show.
Paint is kind of out of it, I think,
Oh.
because this is not part of the Elias Brothers. This will be done by internal
Oh,
people.
got you, okay.
So we need to determine what colors we want where and be able to hand off to whoever at Gateway is going to do the work. Here, paint these areas, these colors, and they will do so. My question is, do we want to make that determination on our own? Do we want to work with the local HOAs and give them, because there's a lot of variation in monuments. So somebody's going to have to make a decision, and it's not going to flow from monument to monument necessarily. So is anybody wanting to take that on?
Here's what I'm wondering. With a standard color scheme in mind for all of them, and come back to the group and say, I think it'll work for all if we just want to do it straight away. Or come back and say, you know what, you're right, it's not going to work for everybody. And since we have a little bit of time, can I have the flexibility to do that?
How much time are you
Next month.
requesting? Oh, that would be perfectly acceptable in
This
my
is
opinion.
Bruce, one quick question. Okay, I could appreciate different shapes, but and I really haven't looked at well at all the monuments. Aren't they all basically have some kind of trim and some kind of base?
If memory recalled
That
most.
is a trim.
All of them.
So I'm just thinking.
I think most have a trim, but that is about the only commonality. Some don't have pillars. I mean, there is a wide variety of designs out there.
Some are huge, a lot. Bellagio, huge compared to everybody else.
Well, some have
But when they'll
the
have-
Pelican up. I don't know if all have a Pelican on them.
No.
Some have a
Some
Pelican
have
up.
them at the base,
Uh-huh.
some don't have a pelican. I
Okay.
mean,
So is there any action that you want from this one other than painting the bronze lettering? Do you want to
Let-
flip flop the colors?
let Nancy do her walkthrough and we will go from there.
Okay,
We definitely want the
bronze. We
bronze
can try to, we can get,
letters,
we can get
but
that done.
that's not a rush.
Okay. Well, it'd be good for you guys to have that for
Yeah.
viewing by your
It
next
would be
meeting.
good to have, and again, that will
That's easy.
soften it just a little bit.
Okay, is there, is the color called out on that for the
Could
bronze?
be. No, it's not. You know, Vance, where we can get that.
But I don't think we did anything with the lettering in
Okay,
In the existing monuments,
Just
do
the-
the letterings need to be painted? Mine look good on Solero. Just
I would paint them just to get them all the same. I mean, if we're gonna paint them, let's do the monument, my opinion.
Do we want to, on the back side of that one, just so we can take a look at it, since it's like a
Contrast.
do we want to flip it and see how it looks on either side?
I can't imagine the Facebook will get off it.
Well, I'm just. Little people.
Could I go out
And
there?
it's a spray paint.
I have rollers and.
Yeah.
No,
Okay.
Well,
I'm just
I thought I'd
asking.
give you a spray paint.
well,
Give you grounds for comparison.
I mean, seriously, we could do that. As to what kind of feedback we're gonna get, that could be interesting.
No, they'll know. That's good.
Oh, somebody will know.
Well, I'm just gonna tell you, I like that better or that better.
And again, either we go to the trouble of getting every HOA's input or we don't.
Uh-huh.
And if you're gonna open that can of worms, be prepared.
That's
Can I give 2 cents on that?
Sure.
So this has been painted. We can do the bronze lettering before your next meeting, but perhaps if you have a president's meeting, council meeting, or the PPCA has a board meeting, you encourage folks to come to your next meeting, HOA presidents or residents to the next meeting to give feedback in person. Because you're going to be making a decision on the colors. That way you can try to get the active participation and that way you promoted it.
Do we want every HOA to have the ability to dictate what colors their monuments get painted in? Well, not the colors.
From a management perspective, absolutely not, because then we're gonna have a 50 different gallons of paint.
So my preference would be, I can go to the HOA president's meeting and just say, this is what we're doing.
Well, give us feedback on if you like the bronze or,
I don't want feedback.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I mean,
Yeah.
that doesn't sound good, but once you open it to feedback, then everybody is redesigning their monument. And I thought that was what we just said. We don't want to give them the ability to
Okay.
do is,
in all
This
honesty.
is Sherry Briscoe on Aviano. There's 2 HOAs. So now when you
Right.
have 2 presidents, you got to work with 1 monument. So that could really.
Look what Vince went through with Casella, just trying to get them to decide to get a vendor.
Casey,
Board
when we
meeting.
did the paint, we were the first in Pelican. They said it couldn't be done. We went through a whole process, but we never asked. We worked with the painter, with Sherwin-Williams. We did the paint thing. We had a paint committee. Did I necessarily like all the paint? No. Did I get to pick my house? No. So, and we went through, they were numbered and the board, and we took it to the, residents, because that's not, we're a condo. But, nobody got to pick their paint color.
so perhaps when Nancy does her drive around, she can identify how many different types. And then if you have 5 types and this is one type and it's, take a picture of the types.
Mhm.
And then you guys can just decide flip flop the
Yeah.
colors or, these are the colors you're going with. Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's a good idea.
Landon.
And I will commit to going to the next president's meeting just to inform them that this is being done. I am not going to solicit input.
And this is Nancy. I just looked at the quote. We did not ask for any changes to the lettering.
So is there another monument that has bronze lettering that we can go use as an example that you know of? A villa? Okay, so we'll go to a villa and look at if the committee is okay with that and try to get that same paint color, or if you can share that
Oh, we
information.
can paint, but we have the bronze paint that we use on it's a brown bronze.
This is for the lettering, right?
But I can give you my, I still have samples of it.
Okay, I'll take a picture of it.
I have a small can of it. We didn't do it though. They didn't paint our lettering. I'm sorry, I misunderstood
Oh.
Chelsea. But we have the bronze that was used in the community. So I can,
Ultimately, I'm just looking for you all to tell us
Yeah.
what bronze,
Yeah.
and Daniel and his team can make it
Alright.
happen.
It's okay. I don't Black looks fine to me, so I'm, I don't care. Bronze. Okay. Go ahead.
Okay, so Nancy is going to follow up
Mhm.
on looking at the different monuments.
Yeah, we'll see what color the lettering is now.
And we will reopen that discussion at next month's meeting. And I will meet with the HOA presidents at their meeting and just inform them that this is being done. And again, do not give them the expectation that it's going to be done this year. I mean, this is probably going to take 3 years to get through all of them. I'm just letting everybody know.
So that's gonna be 3 years of criticism on Facebook.
There's, just don't go on there.
No, I don't give a shit, to be honest.
They can come to the meeting, which I
Oh,
will
that's my-
reinforce at the president's meeting.
That's my biggest response.
So you know, the problem with just reinforcing in the president's meeting is, and other people can tell me if I'm wrong, but the president's meeting is discussed at all the local board meetings, but you have about 6 people that show up.
I understand that. And I agree. And I sometimes think of what is said at the president's meeting doesn't even go past the president's meeting. So
So is there a bronze that you want us to paint? Or you want us to run with it?
just pick a dark bronze.
Okay. And we'll paint one side of the Vincenza lettering.
What colors are the pergolas being painted? The wood,
Board.
because that to me looks like a dark brown.
to me, it's
Okay.
a, Casey, to me, it's a brownish black and I do like that.
That,
But
that's the color that I thought we were shooting for.
it's like a brownish
just-
black,
yeah.
to me,
Pergola.
which kind of isn't black, isn't
Right,
brown.
right.
It's more of an update.
I'll relay that to Daniel and have him pull it.
Yeah, that's what it is.
It's just paint. We
It's
can
more
all,
like what Nancy's,
Very dark.
photo.
Yeah, it is.
It's a very updated color.
All right. Bench selection. Bruce, do you have information you can?
Well, I was hoping Daniel was here because he was gonna base the selection on cost. Like,
That's a good-
I know, I have the brochure from the company I believe he's thinking
It
of.
says treetop
Yeah.
products.
So this is their brochure. Oh, yeah.
yeah, I'm trying,
Oh,
there it
Yeah,
goes.
it's basically what I was gonna show you. So,
They're bronze or black or both.
Cast bronze, oh, it's black. That's the black.
The other ones are wood that are out there already.
No,
no,
they're
they're
composite.
So
Same
it's-
color.
pretty much.
Well, that color is darker than our
Okay.
existing ones.
Just so you know, based on my observations where.
Did we have
this
a
could
cost
be
on
planned,
that?
they planned it already.
Take out
So-
tax, but
2 out of the 3 locations are all in landscape. The third one had existing trees, so. Doesn't matter.
29, less the tax, so
Oh, okay.
27,
So
20. Where'd it go?
the-
Sorry, I'm scrolling like a wild woman over
Yep.
here.
let's just stop
And that
there.
might be-
Daniel has selected this bench from Treetop
Treetop.
Products. And the cost for 3 of them would be not to exceed $3,000.
Casey, where are they going again? I don't.
There are 2, there's 1 pad poured on Cypress
Mhm.
and 2 on Prado. The pads are already there. They already have palms on the sides of them. They're just waiting for the bench, and the bench installation will be done by Gateway personnel.
Well, for fishing.
It's 4351 and slow wave on Prado.
So what I would like to do at this point, so we can proceed, is make a motion to approve the purchase of 3 benches from Treetop Products for a cost not to exceed $3,000.
I second it, Vince Patel.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion approved.
You can sleep tonight.
All right, next up,
Is it gonna be shade?
we have planted palm trees on the side.
Yes, they're there already.
So next up are new proposed plantings. My wife and I have been busy going through Pelican, trying to identify beds that were destroyed in Irma and never redone, beds that are destroyed but still there to some extent, and areas that in our opinion did not do a good job in the first place and just kind of walked away from it. So I would like to go through, and I have approximately 30 different areas that I would like your input and approval if we decide to go forward on them. 30 approximately.
I'll order some pizza.
Well, we need to be out of here in 45 minutes.
You got,
So
What-
I can just describe most of these. So if you just if we just a second, it's not that bad. We've done this before. So in walking out on tree line, there are two areas. So we got the first 16 panels. As you're turning into Pelican, where the turn lane starts, we got the easement to landscape those areas. And walking that area, there are two places where we used to have palm trees that they're gone, whether the hurricane took them or a tree, I have no idea. But I would like to replace those two palm trees just to give us something in that area with just sable palms, which are not expensive, and that's what's primarily already there along there. So I would like to make a motion to replace two missing palms with two sable palms for a cost not to exceed $1,000.
Vince Paghetto, I second it.
All in favor? Aye. The next one I'm going to leave for a little while because that will require some discussion. Well, just trying to keep things.
No, I
moving and respect time. As you are coming into Pelican on the right side, as you get past the first pergola, you will notice that we have planted 3 double red hibiscus bushes. They're doing well. They look good. All I want to do at this point is to add 5 more and continue down from that area because right now it's just a mass of ferns that are growing everywhere. And so I want to take out those ferns and put in 5 new double red hibiscus bushes.
Will they continue with the 3? Will there be a gap?
No, there's no gap.
Okay,
This will not fill the whole area, but it will take most of that area.
can you make a motion for 6? Just to have numbers for planning,
We're doing 5, which is
Great.
enough.
okay. Okay,
5 will get us where we need to
Okay.
be as far as this point. So I would make a motion to add 5 7-gallon double red hibiscus in that area for a cost not to exceed $350.
Vince Paghetto, second it.
All in favor, say aye. All right, now as you are approaching the 4-way stop on the right side, the conserve area is there. There is a large open area along the road there where something used to be. I do not know what. No, it's bush. It was bushes. It's long and narrow. It's probably 8 feet deep. And I would like to put in something along there, which would give us some color and year-round color, but nothing big in front of the conserve area. So I was just considering putting in stoplight crotons. If you're familiar with those, they give you pretty decent color. And I was going to throw in 27 of them for a cost not to exceed $850. And that would fill that area. I make a motion for 27 3-gallon stoplight crotons not to exceed $850.
Vince second it.
All in favor, say aye. Next up, on the right side, we used to have trees that the hurricane took out. We have put in new trees, but not in that exact same spot. I was in hopes that the grass would fill in those areas, and it's just not getting there very quickly. So I would like
Is it the monument area?
Yes. Where we planted rainbow eucalyptus trees, if that helps anybody. Anyway, so there's just some, I'd like to put in some sod where we used to have trees, the stumps are gone now, so we can resod those areas for a not to exceed cost of $300.
Motion.
Second,
Vince Pajero, second it.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Mark, I'm sorry to interrupt. It's
Yeah.
Nancy. There's like a huge dump right at that corner too, kind of toward the back.
Unfortunately, that belongs to the golf course.
And
They
just-
have been asked about it and
Are they ever held accountable as well? This is Sharon. I mean, to
To their-
clean up their items
I
on their
don't,
property. I mean, do we,
We don't have any leverage over
correct, but have we somehow worked with them to say, I mean, we did
it.
on
They've
the
been very
HOA.
cooperative if they're not spending money.
Okay. So what other leverage will we have?
Mhm.
We go to KW, can we go to the master?
The only.
So,
okay, let me, I'll put it on my list. I'll call Jim Forba
okay,
and just ask, tell him that we're getting negative comments regarding that stump and ask him if he can,
We have no.
and that's why I was wondering.
okay. The next area I wish to discuss is, do you know the lift station by Bellagio?
It's the stinky one.
Yeah.
Right here.
I make no.
No odorific.
So the lift station, I've been told by Ameriscape that they've tried to plant in front of those previously, not in here, but in other areas, and the city would come in and tear them out. However, you seem to be able to plant up to the sidewalk along the sides. That one, for whatever reason, was not planted up to the sidewalk. All I'm trying to do is just mask it a little bit better so it's not quite as in your face. And what I would like to use there are a plant called Simpson Stopper. They're native to Florida. They seem to grow well in shade and sun. So I would like to try and use it, and that's what's already there. So I would just like to continue that with 6 more bushes to get us up to the sidewalk so that lift station is not quite as in your face as what
Motion.
3 gallon Simpson stoppers for a cost not to exceed $600.
Motion to.
Second.
Vince Paghetto seconds. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Hit their-
The green.
Motion approved. Okay, now as you get past. Give me a second, I'm trying to recall it in my mind. As you get past Portofino, there's an area that we've tried to do a hard cut on Firebush. Some came back, some didn't. It's just missing areas. Some of the ones that are there just never recovered. I'm to the point where I would like to, let's just clean it up and put in fresh, because I think the Firebush are not going to make it much longer anyway. Just trying to keep piecemealing it is throwing money away. So there is an area between Bellagio and Bella Vista. I would like to remove the old Firebush and put in 28 3-gallon cocoa plum.
Up on
And for a cost not to exceed $1,000. Do I have a motion?
that. Promotion.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Hi,
Next up, just past Bella Vista Drive is a row of Calusia. And for whatever reason, they stopped too short of where a tree is that would just give that person on the corner a little bit of privacy from traffic, etc. So all I want to do is throw in 2 3-gallon Calusia just to finish out that hedge for a cost not to exceed $70. Do I have a motion?
Vince.
Second, Mark, all in favor, say aye.
aye.
Aye. Next up is, as you are approaching the lift station for Sevilla,
Right.
there is a row of Calusia there already existing. What I would like to do is extend that row by 6 more plants because, no offense to Avila, but cars turning out of Avila in the morning, the headlights just sweep right across all the lanais in the neighborhood. And all I'm trying to do is just limit that headlight exposure. So I'm proposing extending the existing Clusia bed by 6 3-gallon Clusia for a cost not to exceed $200. Do I have a motion?
I motion, I'll second it. Vince Pichetto.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Now, once you get past Sevilla, there's an area that is just open because bushes that were there have died and slowly been taken out. They were probably Indian hawthorn at one point, but it's just an open gap area where there used to be bushes that they weren't replaced. I would like to recommend putting in 11 3-gallon Jatropha bushes in there for a cost not to exceed $350.
That get good sun there.
Oh, it gets a lot of sun. Yeah. They'll do well.
That was motion.
Do I have a second?
Vince Pichetto.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Next up. All right, we're going all the way down to Camarel. The first entrance to Camarel, that there is a row of cocoa plum along there, which we trimmed drastically, which the owner was not too appreciative of, but agreed to for safety reasons because some of the residents that they were having trouble seeing. In so doing, it kind of exposes that there are gaps in the cocoa plum. And in order to make it just appear better, I'm just trying to plug those gaps with 5 more cocoa. This 3-gallon, it would cost not to exceed $150.
Okay.
I'll second. All in favor, say aye. Next up is another area. Now we're getting close to the 4-way stop, headed back the other direction. There's an area along the golf course that is just open now.
Where's Benito Town Center?
Well, we are south of there.
Yeah.
But approaching there,
At Cypress Grove,
So we're between Cypress.
past Cypress, but approaching the 4-way stop.
going back toward the. Okay.
There is an area along there that is just kind of open. Bushes used to be there. At some point, they went away. And I would like to put in another splash of color there. I've gotten a lot of positive comments about the copper leaf that we installed on 26.
Cypress.
Well, not only on Cypress, we did it on Pelican Reserve Boulevard also. And I just want to make a pool of copper leaf there. I would put in 12 for a cost not to exceed $400.
Promotion.
I'll second. All in favor? Aye. All right. You know what I mean by variegated ginger. We put in a large patch of variegated ginger north of the 4-way stop as you're heading out of Pelican Reserve, but before you get to the gatehouse. They're doing very well.
Color.
I think it would be.
They're green and cream color.
Is it?
Variegated ginger.
I know, I'll get it.
Between CS and the gatehouse or between 4-way?
Between 4-way and gatehouse.
See this?
They're,
They're
Yeah.
really good.
Okay,
there's
okay,
Nick.
got
Yeah.
it.
And
I'm surprised I didn't know what they were.
this committee installed something like 13 of them last year. They're doing well. And that area has open spots on both sides of it. So I would like to add 14 more just to fill the rest of that area out. And then it will be done as far as I'm concerned. I'm happy with how they're performing and I think it'll look good. So I would like to make a motion to install 14 3-gallon variegated ginger for a cost not to exceed $450.
Yeah.
Second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Going further north is another area where juniper are degrading. And it's really hard to describe.
Same stretch.
Yeah,
What's
It's
your,
Is it up toward the 4-way stop there?
it's past the 4-way stop. Now you're starting
far as
to
I
approach.
know where you mean.
You're halfway in between the 4-way stop and
And
the
the
gatehouse.
Yep.
I would like to remove the juniper that have degraded and replace with just 27 cocoa plums, just to clean that up.
The cost of what?
Not to exceed $1,000. All in favor, say aye. All right, now we're gonna go over by Ravenna. You know where the Bulrush Pond is? On the corner of Ravenna and Pelican Preserve Boulevard. They lost 2 oak trees in that area and the stumps have been removed. So now there's kind of an open area there. I do not wish to install another oak tree. I would like to try another gumbo limbo, which we installed one on Veneto Drive. It was the last tree. It's the bigger looking new tree that was installed. They're just a nice looking tree and they're a Florida native. They're known for the quote unquote hurricane proof. If there's, oh yeah, it's a deciduous, it's not deciduous, it's a leafy tree. So anyway, just one 25-gallon gumbo limbo where we lost 2 other trees and for a cost not to exceed $500.
Oh, is that it, Chelsea? Or
Yeah.
what was doing that?
I'm Googling
That's pretty.
Yeah.
so I can learn too. I know what a gumbo.
If you look at the new trees that we installed on Veneto coming in,
Uh-huh.
as you're headed towards town
Right,
center.
right.
The last one, which is a good sized tree, that's a gumbo limbo.
I love their trunk.
Yeah.
I wondered what that.
Anyway,
I like the name, gumbo.
Vince Pichetto.
second by Vince. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Sitting by my place. Now, this is just a brief discussion that Ravenna lost like 5 trees out in front. And so I was thinking about putting in a bed of copperleaf there, but I have asked for Ravenna's input and have received none from their HOA president. So I'm not sure. I would assume we just table it at this point because since it is in front of Ravenna, I would like to get input from them at some point if they so choose.
Well, and Casey, the reason I kind of agree with that copper leaf, if it's not watered, the leaves will, you might have complaints.
Once you
from-
get it established, it's fine.
Yeah, the leaves will blow
Yeah.
and you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So,
So I'm gonna hold off on that one. Monticello Monument is missing 3 3-gallon wax jasmine. I just want to clean that up and then it's done. So I would like to add 3 3-gallon wax jasmines to the Monticello Monument for not to exceed $100.
no,
Do I have a second?
Vince Pichetto.
All in favor, say aye.
I,
All right, now we're gonna go down Cypress Grove. Where we put in, so we put in 3 fishing pads or bench pads, whatever you want to refer to. 2 of them had adequate room to put in a Christmas palm on both sides, which is what we've done with the rest of them. 1 did not, because there was already a new tree that's established and doing well on one side and a palm tree that was too close on the other side to fit in a Christmas palm. But there is an area between the sidewalk and the pad where we could put in a triple Christmas palm. Just 1. Oh, I'm sorry, a double Christmas palm. I've been corrected.
behind the bench.
Behind the
sidewalk
bench,
and
between
path.
the sidewalk and the pad.
Mhm.
It does, I mean, does that sound fine? Does somebody have another suggestion?
They're beautiful.
Yep.
Vince
Okay.
Pichetto.
Just as long as it's spaced, remember,
Yeah.
away from the walkway to keep it ADA compliant. There's that,
Yeah.
they had to pave the walkway
Yeah.
to the pit.
Yeah, no,
They're saying
there's
it's
space
off-center.
there.
It might be off center.
There's a space there for a
Okay.
Christmas palm. So do I have a motion to install a 25-gallon?
Vince
Motion
Pichetto.
by Vince, not to exceed $500.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Okay, another area, right, as you're going down Cypress, right before you get to Julia, there's a open bed where plants used to be. They're gone. I don't know what happened to them.
Or the
whether-
Corinna,
Pardon?
or the Corinna.
Correct. And all I would like to do is put in 13 3-gallon stoplight curtains in there just to fill that bed and give us some color along that area.
Vince Pichetto. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So pond 51 which is along Prado, is an area that I thought Lennar did not do this community any favors
Mhm.
because they basically
Mhm.
left it wide open
Right.
for the most
Yep,
part.
they do.
So
This one? Yeah.
Further.
on 51,
I don't know phone number, so.
anyway, it's a long stretch where we have started to put a few plants in. So we've made a little bit of progress, but there's still a ways to go, in my opinion. So in the median in that area, there used to be some bushes. They're gone. And actually, I think they were Mexican petunia, which had not done well.
Yeah,
They're invasive.
51's further down. By
Anyway,
the golf course,
yeah, it's pretty good.
right there on the top of that picture next up.
Up here.
Oh, up
That's
here.
Right there.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
Yep.
Anyway, so in the median, there used to be Mexican petunia. I would like to try a chenille plant, if you're familiar with that. It's first cousin to the copperleaf. They just something to try that's different, gets a nice flower on it, the real long hanging red bottle brush type
I'm
flower.
trying.
Okay, so there's the flower on the chenille.
Are they a trashy plant?
No.
Or are they?
No,
Okay.
they're
I'm just,
first cousin to a copperleaf.
Okay.
Same growth habit as copperleaf. In fact, the flower
so
of
they grow
copperleaf,
fast.
yes, the flower of copperleaf is like a miniature chenille as far as how it appears. So I would like to put in 5 7-gallon chenille in the median where there used to be Mexican petunia for a cost not to exceed $250.
I second it.
All in favor, say aye. We have a transformer along Cypress Grove that we've lost a couple bushes that kind of shielded it. I just want to put in 3 cocoa plume, just to kind of shield that area a little bit for a cost not to exceed $100.
Motion.
I'll second. All in favor, say aye. In the park that we have along Cypress Grove, we have responsibility for that park that's in there. There is an open bed where plants have disappeared that were there at one time. I do not know what they were. I would just like to throw in 7 3-gallon cocoa plum to fill that space and make it look a little better, in my opinion. For a cost not to exceed $225.
But question.
Sure.
Area, who's responsible for this up here at
It's a protected.
Where's that at?
Area.
Where's that at?
Hold on.
Where was that, Dave?
Okay, the area you just specifically mentioned
Great,
is,
nice Solero.
a conservation area.
Yep.
The park takes up part of it. It's on our GIS map. It's a very irregular shape,
Yeah.
but the park abuts the conservation until you get to the property owner. And then the property owners on, Solaro own that park.
Okay, then I have a concern. So it's really Solera's HOA for that, the area. I guess that would be north of the park.
Well, show us on here where you're talking about.
If this is the park,
Yes.
who's?
That's conservation area, that's ours.
And that's a protected area.
That's it.
Because
I
there's
took-
signage in there.
I took a walk
That
back
area
there
with
and there
signs.
was a lot of damage
Keep up- Is that the area with?
done by a
protected?
homeowner. And the damage still lays there.
I think
The
we've
tree-
cited them.
Somebody got cited.
Yeah.
Yeah, but nothing's been done with it.
We can't do it. Whatever.
You can't replant.
You can't, no.
No.
You cannot do anything.
What about fixing the track marks?
You can't do anything on conservation.
Because I've been back
It's a
there.
state.
The boat, the bobcat knocked down trees.
Yeah. And the tree's still laying
Put
there.
it overnight and he just took the common.
The- Code enforcement would pursue the property owner to repair any damages.
But it hasn't.
But it has to be done through.
It has to be through
It's a
city.
big process.
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure it's not forgotten because
Well, make sure code enforcement doesn't go out.
who is code enforcement?
City of Fort Myers.
Plus, that Fort Myers.
City of Fort Myers.
We had hurricane damage.
But that's not hurricane damage. That
No.
was somebody
But we
being
had-
City of
selfish.
Fort Myers. code
But we
enforcement.
we had damage back there and people wanted to go in because the limbs were, and I mean, there was somebody that showed up on the property because somebody reported them and then eventually the area got fixed, but it had to.
It takes time.
Mhm.
Bruce, I got a note. I'll make sure we'll get with ponds and with staff.
I just don't want this. This guy is someone who should be cited and held accountable.
He was cited, and actually we cited the homeowner.
It should be, yeah.
Well, no, I'm
Yeah.
serious. I talked to Doug Zanter on this. We cited the homeowner. It's up to him to go after the contractor for it then. So do we get approval on the Cocoa Plum in the park?
I second it.
All in favor, say aye. All right, on pond 47, which I know doesn't. Pond 47, there's a dead tree. And it finally gave up the ghost, and I would,
Marina portion, right off the side of the boulevard.
not a large tree, but it has died, and I would like to replace it, and I would like to replace it with a cocoa, or not a cocoa plum, a pigeon plum. It's not a fruit tree. There are some in here. In fact, we just planted another one over on Cypress. Everything I've heard about these trees has been good, so I would just like to try another one where this other tree has died, for a cost not to exceed $500. Second, all in favor, say aye. If anybody has discussion, yeah,
Is that installed?
yes. I'm just trying to get through this for time expediency, so.
Yeah.
All the work you have to do.
I'm with you on it.
And, I'm going to have questions if the plans aren't familiar, just
Okay,
to know.
all right. I'm going back to pond 51, which we said was fairly open at this time. If you go down Prado, there's a concrete box on that pond, fairly good size. All we're trying to do is soften that somewhat by putting some, a little half circle, whatever, of copper leaf around it. Not necessarily to block the whole thing, but at least not make it quite as much in your face. And again, provide a little color there.
Is that,
It's a
an outlet that's,
stormwater drainage structure.
And again, it needs to be there and everything like that. It's just, I don't think we need to see it quite as much as what we do. So I have proposed 9 copper leaf for a cost not to exceed $400.
Is that on an easement? Is that on an easement?
We have all of that.
We have that
That's
easement.
us. We own that.
Between landscape on one side and then Lake James on the other. That's all our.
It's Nancy, I think it's okay because I had seen exceptions to easements, so if we had to dig it up, right, because we had to get to it, then we could start all over and replace. And if we're willing to do that, I think it'll be all right. So copper leaves aren't hard to pull.
No.
is this the only pond with one of these?
No. So we've got some fish cages in a couple spots.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Well,
This is, like I said, this is one of the few areas that, again, Lennar just did not plant this stretch.
And it really sticks out.
Yeah,
If you
yeah,
walk it
yeah.
enough, you'll see.
But
Pretty bad.
the ACC saw a landscape proposal to block one of these. Doug Zanter was against.
Okay,
It planted on the easement.
well,
Although I can say that I went through the ACC on a huge ugly drain that's between my house and another house. It's double like what the rest of them are. And they said, we're gonna give you an exception because it's so ugly. But if we have to come down an easement and we remove those, you have to replace them.
So you'll work with Doug.
right, we have plants around you, the big old utility box, and we look like a metal garden. But we have those, they were there when I came,
Yeah.
and they've had to come in. Just recently, 2 years ago, in somebody's front yard and rip out a bunch of bushes.
And this is recent, so I think we can do it.
But run it by Doug. I don't think Doug.
so if this group is okay with doing that planting,
Mhm.
I will contact Doug Zanter and make sure that Pons is okay with it.
Okay.
So do I have a motion
My
to,
motion, second it. Yes, General.
Motion and seconded.
And
I never heard Vince talk so much.
Bob's kicking him underneath.
Yeah, 11 minutes.
for a cost not to exceed $400? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All right, same pond, further down. As we were driving that area, the homeowners towards the end of that pond, the road is very close. And we spoke to them and they said, "Yeah, it'd be great to have a little bit of privacy from the cars that are right there." And we were considering putting in another bed of copperleaf at that area. They said they thought copperleaf looked very good. It's kind of like if that's what the homeowner would prefer, I'd be willing to basically work with them on that. So I'm proposing 11 7-gallon copperleaf on pond 51 for a cost not to exceed $500. All in favor, say aye. All right. Now I'm back on Pelican Preserve Boulevard.
Can you hold on a second?
Sure.
But staying on product, we could. I think we need to address. There's a patch that's getting worse and worse, that's in need of sod.
We don't own that yet.
We
We're
haven't
working
taken
on
over.
getting,
Still
that
hasn't-
That easement is not
It's getting bigger and
Yeah.
bigger, it's gonna be more expensive.
Should have it in 2 weeks.
so
And also right here. I guess we can't do anything here because
Right.
that's Meriscape's gateway to Matarita too. So they trampled on all the bushes there,
Where's that?
right behind Matarita too. And the only reason I see it, in all honesty, that's my house on the other side.
Nothing can be
But
done.
yesterday they trimmed
we
the,
don't have the easement yet.
Oh,
Not
okay.
yet.
yeah, they trimmed the calusas yesterday, created even a bigger mess yesterday because they trampled on the bushes that were there.
Is that owned by WCI? Because I looked on the GIS.
Was recently transferred. This is one of the parcels, what we call at the district.
It hasn't been transferred yet.
Parcels. The straggler parcel was requested by BPCA
Okay.
and the GSCD board gave it to them. Now, they have reconsidered and they would like us to continue maintaining a portion of that we always have from the gutter to the top of the berm.
Okay,
So the paperwork to give them the PPCA, a document to sign to transfer it for us is in process. Expect that within 2 weeks and then it'll be ours.
perfect.
Pelican Preserve.
Okay, back on Pelican Preserve, in the median, north of Bellagio is another open bed where there used to be bushes. And I'm proposing to put in 12 3-gallon Panama rows, something different, something that gives you good flower. For a cost not to exceed $400. Do I have a second, Vince?
Like that.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Now, as you get to. I'll skip that. Open area on Pelican Preserve Boulevard, just before the gate on the right. Kind of a trashy looking area. I would like to continue a hedge of Simpson stopper again. Again, it's somewhat shaded. Simpson stoppers have shown to do well, sun, shade, anywhere. And again, that's just continuing what's there just to finish it out. I would put in 14 3-gallon for a cost not to exceed $450. Second by Vince. All in favor, say aye.
Get tired of
Vince is
seeing the
spending money.
same.
Yeah.
In the median is an area where we have arbicola going down the middle. There used to be a tree in there and the tree died. I just want to put in 2 more arbicola to plug the hole so it looks appropriate for a cost not to exceed $70. Second by Vince. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion approved.
Love it, don't you, Kelsey?
I do.
Now, as you get
Talk so much, Vince.
past the gate, again, another row of Simpson stopper. I want to remove some scraggly looking juniper and just continue the row.
Between the gate tree line?
Correct. Continue the row of Simpson stopper. And it would be 18 3-gallon Simpson stopper for a cost not to exceed $600.
Yeah.
Second,
All in favor, say aye.
aye.
Where do we stand on the uplighting?
Daniel is working on that. I just talked to him on Tuesday and he's working on it.
Bentley is very backed up.
So we haven't forgotten it. And I agree, it needs to be addressed, but So can you go to the front of Pelican Preserve?
Yes, I can.
As you turn into Pelican Preserve, on your left, you will notice there's gas shutoffs and a few other pedestals and things like that. So in trying to do something there, we thought about a pool of Dumbaya. Nice color, nice
Pelican?
flower,
Pelican.
tree line in Pelican Preserve Boulevard. Yep. Yep. And
Point, Vanna. Okay.
there's utilities in there. Again, we can't block the utilities, but you can mask them a little bit. The question that we have is, are you okay with Dumbaya, which have performed very well for us in here and given us a lot of compliments from the homeowners? But not only that is, secondly, do we have to try and mirror that on the other side, which you run into a problem because then you potentially run the risk of blocking the monument, which we have just painted, which we obviously don't want to do. I'm looking for discussion on that.
Well, I think they should somehow be cohesive. If that's the main entrance and everybody's turning in.
Watch this.
I don't know.
Hey,
It don't have to be matchy, but somehow.
The only concern is we put a puddle here.
Okay,
You go to the other side, you have to go down tree line a decent ways, so you're not blocking the monument.
so what are you putting on the other side there? Go back.
The same. Here I'm proposing a pool of Dumbaya. I can't put,
Oh, the height, okay.
I don't want to put anything here because then you just block it
Yeah.
out. You have to go all the way down to like here, and then is it so far down that you've kind of lost the continuity?
But
One question. Kind of unrelated to this, but related. Is there any consideration or appetite for mirroring our monument on the other side of the road?
No.
If there is, it's a lot of money. That's a good comment.
I guess I'd have to see it, but go ahead, dude.
Okay,
Because I don't like where it looks, it starts to me then to look like we just stick stuff in
So
instead of making sense.
this
That's
is Sherry. I have a question. First of all, it's flat, right? There's nothing sticking out of the ground. However, there are two signs there that are laying on the ground. So those signs have to be stood
Where
up.
are they?
I mean, they look broken. It's a natural or gas valve shut off. They're just laying on the ground. The poles are there. Is it something that should be standing up on the
Are
sign?
they hit by the motor?
So if you put the sign up, then, are we gonna put bushes in front of it?
No,
You pull that picture back up,
we're almost out of time.
I know.
So here's what I'd like to say. Look at this area. And then at the next meeting, we can talk about it. Because right now, we're almost out of time.
what's the name of the plants again, Mom?
Dumbaya, that's what's planted on the corner of Cypress
Oh,
and
okay.
Pelican with
Okay.
pink flowers.
There
Okay,
you go. See it right there?
Those have to stay.
Yeah.
okay. Okay.
They cannot be.
Well, come to the next meeting with ideas and. So,
My only comment with that from a operational standpoint is you have sight triangles and visibility that you have to make sure you can't obstruct.
okay. All right, stop right there. So I'm not gonna try to address this today because we're almost out of time. But so we have responsibility for 16 of these paintings. All right. If you go actually like 18, but the first two have decent palm tree coverage and things like that. So I'm not gonna waste money putting plants behind them that you really won't see. But these next 16, and they're like 30 feet apiece. So decent size. I want to put a planting in front of these. And just something to think about. I'm not proposing, I don't want Vince to second anything. If you go down tree line, you will notice that some communities have used copper leaf. I know you're tired, I'll be tired of hearing copper leaf, but it does give you that all year continuous color, that vibrant burgundy, red, dark color. I don't want to do the whole wall in copper, but there are options. You could do every other panel or a certain amount, but you have to make a decent sized clump because if you're going along at 45 miles an hour, if you have one plant, you're not going to notice that differentiation in color, design. So something to think about. If you do every other panel with copper leaf, and then you could actually do every other panel then with the white and cream color, which the golf course has done in some areas, which is copper leaf. Or you could do a triple palm tree with arbicola around the bottom. I mean, give it some thought, bring it to the next meeting, because I would like to get that addressed as well.
Casey, this is unreal, because my husband, I was just driving him back the other day, and he doesn't notice, and he commented, he said, you know, when you see down at Plantation or Colonial, he goes, and he forgets what I'm on, but he said, oh, wow, why isn't anything there if it's so bare?
Well, one,
And I said, probably storm damage.
we just got the easement to be able to do that.
We actually don't even have it yet, but keep going. We're good again. That, and the
I like,
Anyway, give that some thought. When you come to the meeting next month, we can hopefully make a decision on what we want to put in there. So we can get it done this summer, and hopefully the rains come.
So sorry.
I'm sorry. I have one more thing before we close.
okay.
I have two things.
Just informational. The fountains in that monument will be as tall as a 5-foot person by your next meeting.
Lori love
We're finally getting that. It'll go over your head.
Nancy,
Let that be on Facebook.
Just real briefly, just so, I've never brought this up before because it wasn't affecting this group. I have another group of different neighborhoods that gets together. They've been doing this for a year, once a quarter, to talk about opportunities and challenges. It has nothing to do with the GSCD. Or like, what do you do with blah, 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 blah. So now we have 2 members in here that are on that committee, and I did reach out to the GSCBD, the Gateway, and I'm waiting for a return call from the attorneys. So until such time that I get that, the person that's in that group, I'm gonna ask to step out until I do.
Is it a formal committee? Oh,
It's okay.
It came to you and you sent it to the.
I did?
What I was told.
I haven't gotten anything. This is the first I'm hearing. So it,
Sent it to George.
it shouldn't be going through you.
Well, it shouldn't be a problem.
So it's not.
Well, it should be going through Healthy, though.
Well, they don't control budgets.
No.
So they don't control budgets, so it's a discussion.
Oh, I sent him an email that I can be accepted, so I can be.
yeah.
Okay, so it's fine, you can come on it.
okay,
Oh,
Chelsea.
Yeah, just a couple housekeeping items. Georgia did respond back and said that you approved the January minutes for March. We haven't gotten the March minutes, so the February ones that are on your agenda today do need approved and signed.
Do I have a motion to approve the February?
Vince.
Thank you. And
All in
then,
favor, say aye.
and then you have the reduction of size of annual beds. Do you want that to the next meeting or you're handling it now? The safety has to be
We'll save.
Table. All right.
We're gonna have time.
table to next meeting.
But one last,
Do you have an adjournment?
Little baby.
Are you guys gonna adjourn?
that's it.
Do I have a motion to
No,
adjourn?
I got one more, wait, one more item.
Bruce had an item.
Now that we're doing all these plantings,
Well, everybody.
we gotta get Javier again on board because case in point, the copper leaves that were just put in on Cypress haven't been getting watered and they're looking like they're gonna die.
I have contacted Javier and let him know that they need to be watered and they are under warranty, and I will tell him to replace them if they die.
Okay,
And he can't use the city watering thing because nuclear can have.
right. So,
He is aware.
okay, because they look like crap.
All right, I stopped the recording.